Hello and welcome to this webinar introducing our new and improved Horticulture suite. My name is Julie Goodwin and I'll be leading this webinar, and I'm a business development consultant at Open Awards, and with me is my colleague Nina Hinton.
Hello, I'm the development and marketing manager at Open Awards.
Lovely. Nina will be on the chat facility this afternoon, so if you do have questions as we're going through the webinar, please feel free to ask them in the chat box as we've been checking before we started the webinar this afternoon. And we'll try and do them as we go along, or if not, we'll make sure that we've covered them by the end of the session today. All the information that I'm going to look at as part of this presentation is available in our qualification guides, and they're on our website at www.openawards.org.uk. So let's start with what we've got in the suite. At the moment we have at entry level 2 and 3 an award and certificate, and also at level 1 we've got an award certificate and diploma. As always with Open Awards, you can run the full qualification, or if you choose to, you can choose some units within that, depending on your learners and their needs as well. As you can see, the qualifications are listed in both credits and time, and this has been the real review of the units and qualification have been around the new and improved regulation qualification framework. So every awarding organisation will at the moment be looking at their qualifications and changing them from the credit-based system into the new RQF, which is a time-based system. So underneath each of the credits, you can see the actual total qualification time that is required to complete each of these units. And the RQF was introduced in October 2016. 15 actually, I think it was. It was 15, but we have until the end of this calendar year to make sure that all the qualifications we have fit within that framework. So what's different? Well, we're talking about things in terms of time rather than in credits. And as you see, really, it's just a recalculation of taking it back and times everything by 10. So 1 credit is usually equal to about 10 learning hours. And that little formula, so the TQT is the number of guided learning hours plus non-guided learning hours that are needed to complete the qualification. That's the real change that's happened. And also as well, as part of this review, is we've looked at all the units. We thought it would be a great idea to have a look at each qualification in turn, take it off the shelf and dust it down. And what do we mean by dusting it down? Well, we're seeing what you've been choosing as our customers, and where we found that units haven't been utilised, we've thought, well, hey, maybe you don't need them anymore. And also as well, some of the units that we've got, we've improved and made better. And we've had feed in as well from centres sometimes to say, well, why don't you put this unit in? So it's given us that opportunity as well to add in as we've gone along. It's a very big piece of work that's going on, isn't it, Nina? With everything. Just a teeny weeny bit, but it is a great opportunity to make things ours as well. And they are truly now Open Awards units that sit within the new RQF qualifications. Alongside this as well, we have brought in our new qualification guides, which we feel are a bit more streamlined and very user-friendly. We did have some feedback from a customer the other week who said that they really enjoyed the fact that we weren't as clunky and as bulky as they used to be, and they can get to things quite quickly. So you'll also see some really nice features which I just want to touch upon slightly before we get into the actual units, etc. on the qualification. And the first thing that you'll see is that every qualification guide will include a purpose statement. So if you're wondering, is this qualification and is this level right for my learners, there's a full purpose statement. And it will cover things like, who is this qualification for, what does the qualification cover, entry requirements, progression, and we'll look at a little bit more about progression in a moment, assessment methods, who supports the qualification, and I'm glad to say in this instance we've got a number of organisations, but in particular Pinehurst and Incredible Edible have been supporting this qualification. They are delivered throughout our schools as well and through our HMPSs as well. So there's always a purpose statement within every qualification. So if you're wondering whether this is the right thing for my learners, that's a great place to start to look at that. We've also included in every new qualification guide this lovely diagram of the pathways to employment. So if learners do come on to these qualifications, what would be the progression for that learner? What could they do? And learners can progress on to further studies. So as you can see here in the entry level side of things, learners could either progress on to skills for further learning and employment units if they want to do a little bit more horticulture and more work-based learning to get to work, employability skills, perhaps develop the personal and social skills as well. Or alternatively, if learners are able to, they can move up to level 1 and study. But that's not the only thing that learners could do from the qualification. They could progress into employment or at a later stage onto the apprenticeship framework as well. So hopefully this pictorial view will be really great. So as you can see here, we've got the entry progression, and at level 1 there, learners could also progress on to our skills for further learning and employment. And don't forget, we do have that at level 2 as well, if you want to carry on studying. And again, they could go to employed work, which is great for learners as well. Because we're talking about learners who are not just young, but every age. And I know looking at how employment's going over the years, people will need to reskill during their lifetime. So it's also good for learners who are not as young as they used to be and are looking to another pathway of employment, or perhaps an area that they are interested in their leisure, because it is also something that you could do if you're interested in for leisure facilities, particularly if you're running adult education. This is a nice, maybe a unit or an award would be really nice for adult education as well. Don't forget as well, with open awards, we don't give you prescriptive assessment methods. You're free to choose the assessment method that you think is most suitable for your learners. So the choice is yours, basically. And with this being a lovely practical subject, have you ever thought that you could actually collect evidence through maybe videos and photographs, maybe reflective journals or video journals, through questions and answers? You could even record those, and of course there's worksheets as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can collect evidence for this very, very practical qualification. Just want to add here as well that during this review process, we are also at this stage, or we've just completed the review on the conservation suite. So if you are looking to move from horticulture into conservation, the entry 3 and level 1 qualifications have been updated, and in the next few weeks those qualification guides will be available on our website. So the choice is yours, whether you do the full qual or choose some units. Choose some really lovely assessment methods there that can engage your learners and perhaps inspire them to do even more studies with their going forward. So let's get into qualification. As always, if you wish to deliver a qualification, you need to check the qualification guide for the rules of combination. And the rules of combination will tell you how much credit is needed for each level and where that credit should come from and time should come from within there. This is a very nice simple combination for us. We have mandatory units, which are units in A, and also as well you get some optional units which are in B. So it gives you a really lovely flexible method of choosing what would suit your learners, and we'll talk about what other units are available as well, but that is just very, very simple. Mandatory plus the rest of the credit and time from the B groups. Looking at the mandatory unit, For the entry levels, our mandatory unit, it is just one unit because it's an award and a certificate, is about recognising parts of plants. So it's just about instilling really the very basics of horticulture within the learning at that stage. At level 1, and the award and certificate, again, it's about recognising parts of plants. But as learners progress to the diploma, there's more mandatory units that need to be covered. And these include plant container grown plants, prepare the soil and organic mulch, and we've got water a bed, border or area of plants in containers. Because a diploma is going to be so much bigger, we need to make sure that we've given a more all-rounded view that's mandatory for the qualification at that stage. In the option groups B, well, you've got lots and lots of choice, but units tend to fit within these main areas. So planning, so in there we've got things like propagation of plants. We've also got sort of like looking at planning your garden, really, the landscape of your garden as well as planting. So then we go into preparing, so there's planting, preparing soil, checking the pH of soil. Also as well then, once you got into the planting, and it's not just for if you've got a patch of ground to work on, it could actually be in containers as well. So you're not restricted or contained by having to be in a field or having a patch of ground to work on. You could actually do this in containers as well. But there's also other bits and pieces that are in there that are really helpful about maintaining, and that's including things like footpaths and fences, as well as the actual weeding and using tools, etc., to maintain gardens and to do the horticulture side of things. And there's more about identifying trees and herbaceous perennials and so forth. So there's lots to choose from within there. It would be impossible, I think, this afternoon to read everything out to you. They are all contained within the qualification guides. And as you go to the qualification units within the guides, there's a link there that will take you through to the actual unit content and show you then the learning outcomes and assessment criteria that's necessary and needs to be evidenced in order to obtain that unit and add that into the qualification. Regarding the review and what's changed within that, we have removed some units that really weren't being utilised, and in entry 2 and entry 3 we've removed things like composting, haven't we, Nina, and laying slabs. Nobody seemed to be taking up those units, so they've now been removed. However, those types of units are in our land-based qualifications as well as our skills for further learning and employment. And certainly for level 1 that was a very similar case, and that including paving blocks as well as some metal construction as well. So they may have disappeared, and you may be thinking, well, we need to go a bit more into garden design, or there are other qualifications and options to gain those units. This was really one, we wanted to really focus this into the horticulture sector, as it were, just to give it a little bit of differentiation from there. Okay, if you're interested and you would like to take up the qualifications, as always, there's a charge for registration and certification. And the prices on screen show no increases for the next year from this year. And remember that all our prices are inclusive of registration and certification, so there's no hidden extras. Also, as well, I'd just like to pause at this moment, and I know it doesn't apply to everybody, but if you require ESFA funding, all of the qualifications that are on the screen also do attract ESFA funding. But as always, we add the caveat, please do check the hub, and also as well check that you are entitled to claim ESFA funding as well. I think really that's the majority of introduction to that I can give you to this qualification. It's just a case now of feeling confident to go onto the website, pull through the qualification guide, and to really get into there and choose those units that you would like. If you need any further information regarding our products or qualifications, please don't hesitate to contact us on our Open Awards office on 0151 494 2072 or visit our website at openawards.org.uk. So it's been great to share this afternoon our new and improved qualifications in horticulture. Hope that they'll be useful to you and particularly to your learners, and it will help them to progress either to further learning or into the workplace. Thanks for listening and take care.